This is a presentation on which one to use, Safari, Chrome, or Edge. There are other browsers out there. I'm going to talk briefly about Mozilla's Firefox, but this is mostly about Safari, Chrome, and Edge to help you understand them, what they are, what they're capable of, and which one might be the best one to choose depending on what it is you're trying to utilize. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about what all browsers do, what's common between them, what's different, and some selection criteria I came up with for which one to use. Okay, so what is a web browser? A web browser is a software application, and its primary purpose is to display web pages. When you go out to the internet and you look for google.com or microsoft.com or apple.com or do anything, you are looking for that web browser to display a web page for you when you get to it and bring it back and put it on your screen, whether it's a computer or whether it's a smartphone. Simple, easy, but it's such a powerful tool. That is what has enabled us to use technology so much, because you can go to Amazon, you can go to websites, you can find things, you can search articles, you can use AI. The web browser is the application on your computer that gives you the capability to open up everything on the internet. Okay, so that's what it does, and it's just a tremendously powerful tool, and it's something that everybody uses every day on their computers. They come pre-installed. Okay, so Chrome, for example, is made by Google, and it comes standard installed on Chromebook devices and on Android devices. It also uses a search engine. We're going to talk a little bit about search engines next. But the default search, the way it's standard and set up when you install Chrome, Chrome uses Google Search. And Google likes you to use Chrome because it has Google Search built into it. And when you use Google Search, you see ads from Google, and Google makes money by displaying ads when you browse the internet. So that works on their solution, their approach, their strategy. Edge is a browser that's made by Microsoft. They used to make an old one that's obsolete now. It's called Internet Explorer. But Microsoft now installs Edge on all Windows devices, and its default search engine is set up to use Bing. When you use Edge to search, it automatically will use Bing unless you change it. You can change it, just like with Chrome. You can change it from Google to something else. With Safari, it's made by Apple, and it comes standard on Macs and iPhones and iPads. And it uses Google for its search. Google pays Apple to make Google the default search engine that is used with Safari. Another very popular browser called Firefox is made by an open source, meaning it's not a corporation, it's a nonprofit organization called Mozilla. Doesn't come standard on anything, but it does have Google installed as its search engine. Firefox is used by a lot of people that do software development and don't want to be bound by the rules and regulations or requirements or proprietariness of any of the other browsers. There are many other browsers out there, but these are by far the most popular ones because people tend to use the software that comes pre-installed on their technology. That's how most people work. Yeah, Reg.
Taking this correctly, that Chrome, Safari, and Firefox are all using the Google search engine.
They are all set up standard out of the box. When you open up the box and you say, well, I'm going to start using Chrome, I'm going to start using Safari, I'm going to start using Firefox, they are set up to use the Google search engine, right?
Okay, so in reality, today, are we really only talking about the difference between Google and Bing?
No, because those are search engines. They're not browsers. The browser is the software that gets you to websites. A search engine is a type of website that's out there. that's purpose is to search the internet and find things for you. The browser utilizes the search engine, but a browser can take you to your bank. Browser can take you to a travel website. A browser can take you to an entertainment website. It can take you to anything. A search engine is what helps you find things on the internet.
Okay.
It's a type of website. Really, the only two big search engines and search tools that are out there are Google and Bing. Okay. Bing used to be Yahoo. Microsoft bought the search engine technology from Yahoo and incorporated it and made their own called Bing. So there's a search engine, there's a browser, but all this software is pre-installed. So when you're using your iPhone or your iPad and using Safari, if you haven't changed anything, you're using Google when you actually do a search on the web on your iPad. Or if you haven't changed anything on Edge, when you're using it on Microsoft, you're using Bing for search. If you're using Chrome, you're using Google for search. So there's the search technology, and then there's the browser technology, which is an application. I did some research on browsing market share from a company called Statistica.com, which is a pretty good resource for getting these things. On the desktop, people are using Google to search 85%. Okay. Bing and Yahoo combined make up about 12%. And some people say, oh, I love DuckDuckGo, but it's really used by less than 1% of the people that use a desktop for searching the internet. DuckDuckGo does not track your history, whereas Google and Bing/Yahoo do track your history for personalizing your advertising. Mobile search engines, even a bigger difference. Google is used by 96% of the people that search on a smartphone. Okay. iPads and tablets are generally considered to use a desktop search because they display the full web page, not the mobile version of the web page. So Google just really dominates this search business, and they do a pretty good job. They keep people coming back. Okay. And when you do search, you are going to the internet. You technically do not need to go to the internet to use a web browser. The web browser will actually work on your computer without an internet connection. It's just that you can't get to any websites without an internet connection. So where you can use them. Okay, this is something I'm going to try and work on for all of my software technologies that I look at, is that there's a column for runs on Windows, Apple, Mac, iPhone, iPad, Android, Chromebook. Okay, Chrome runs on everything. Okay, Edge runs on everything except Chromebooks. Chromebooks are a technology that's made by Google that is sold by HP, Lenovo, others. It's their laptop, desktop, small operating system type of tool, used more in schools. But I do know some family members that buy other members a Chromebook because they just want them to have a simple, easy to maintain computer. Safari does not run on Windows, does not run on Android, does not run on Chromebooks. It only runs on Apple devices. Okay? And Firefox will run on everything, including Chromebooks. So this is a thinking slide to think about what kinds of technology you have and whether or not it's advantageous to use a browser that works on everything you own or just some of the things you own. Because many people may have an iPhone and they use Safari, but then they use Edge or Chrome on their desktop, which is okay. But you are using technologies from two different organizations at that point. And you have now become what is called in the industry a systems integrator, where you have to make two technologies from two different companies work together, and it's your job to make that happen, which is usually okay, but sometimes it can cause some difficulties. I had a person tell me that they had to help their dad, who actually works at home, but their dad's webcam didn't work. for some reason it stopped working and they had to go over to their dad's house and help them fix their webcam. Nothing was wrong with the hardware. It was a software setting that they weren't familiar with how to set. But making things work from different vendors can be sometimes a very easy thing to do, sometimes can be very difficult. The fortunate thing about the web is that the web has a lot of industry standards, so that a website and a web browser almost always work together 99.999% of the time. We don't have to worry about that, and that's nice when we don't have to think about those things. Performance. I wasn't going to address performance, but I thought I better, because some people may think, well, which one's faster than the other? And there might be a difference. Now, what happens is that there are a couple of organizations that run browser benchmarks. A benchmark is a testing environment where you put software through its paces or hardware through its paces and say, how does it perform? And it's a relative ranking to other people. So there's a company, well, actually it's an organization called browserbench.org that makes a popular speedometer, Jetstream 2, and MotionMark. These are all testing browsers and how they do. So they say, okay, with each browser, we're going to give it a simulated website, and we're going to say, how does this browser do when it goes to this type of website? How does this browser do when it goes to this type of website? How does it do when it goes to this type of website? Because websites do a lot of different things. And so they run these tests and they compare Chrome, Edge, Safari. But you got to remember that Chrome and Safari and Edge are software products, so they update. So if they see there's a performance issue, they will update them. They do change frequently. They add features. And sometimes it's really hard to see the difference between them for most users. So we're going to take a look at some of these benchmarks. This is a benchmark that I found. It's called Jetstream 2. You can see Chrome came out the best. There's a score 195. This was run on a Mac in 2022 by Apple Insider. The link is below there. But Safari is not far behind at 189. Firefox is 184 and Edge is at 180. If you run this 2 months later, it might be a little bit different because there's always updates coming out for web browsers, their software. That's one benchmark. Another benchmark, Safari comes out ahead, okay, but there's not a lot of difference. This one, Edge is ahead of Chrome, or no, Chrome is ahead of Edge by a little bit, Firefox a little bit behind. This is maybe, less than 10% difference in performance that you're going to see on all of these benchmarks. Here's another one, Jetstream 2. Chrome comes out ahead, Edge a little bit different. Now, this is running Edge on a Mac. Edge tends to be optimized more for Windows by Microsoft, but Edge runs really fast on a Mac computer as well. And the other thing is that on Windows, there was a test that Digital Trends did. Chrome has a reputation for using a lot of RAM, okay? And here's the thing. If you've got 16 gigabytes of RAM on your computer, it probably isn't going to matter, okay? But Chrome tends to use a lot of RAM because that's what makes it perform a little bit faster. It keeps more information in memory. Edge uses about half the RAM, but if you've got a 16 gigabyte RAM machine, it's not going to matter a whole lot. I mean, I run Chrome, Edge, and Safari simultaneously on my computer, and I really don't notice any difference in performance between the web browsers. Chances are your internet connection and how fast the website is running is going to make more of a difference than the browser itself. So it's probably not going to matter. So my advice and my opinion is, with just a 5 to 10% difference in performance and the fact that software updates are going to change these things, don't choose it just for performance. Performance is not really a big issue in terms of choosing a browser unless you've got very, very limited amounts of memory in your device and very, very slow internet connections. It's rarely going to make much of a difference. So there's other reasons to make a choice on which browser you should use. Let's take a look at some common features across all browsers. Doesn't matter which one you use, okay? Of these three primarily, Safari, Chrome, and Edge, okay? I didn't check everything on all other browsers because there's about a dozen of them out there. Okay, they all have a field at the top, typically, where you can enter a search term, which will launch a search engine, or a website address with a .com or a .edu. As soon as you put that dot in the address field, it knows you want to go to a website. If you don't do that and just enter a term, it'll give you a search result for it. So that's how it understands. The browser is making that decision for you based on what you actually type into it. They all work that way. They've all got the ability to save bookmarks so that you can find web pages you visit frequently and go back to them. On Edge, it tends to be called favorites. They've all got the ability to support multiple tabs so that you can keep multiple web pages open. They've all got a password manager that they will help you manage your passwords and keep your passwords so you can log into different websites. They've all got a private, or what Google calls incognito, browsing mode that does not track what websites you visit. So they've all got that. But there's more. They all have a download manager. They all have a translation tool. They all have voice integration where you can talk to the browser. They've got extensions that you can add in. Extensions are like add-ons that you can get that other third parties have developed that give your browser additional capabilities. An example, the one that I use the add-on from Grammarly, the extension. Grammarly is an copy editing tool that helps you improve your writing. And they have extensions that are built for Safari, Chrome, and Edge that will allow me to use Grammarly whenever I am typing anything into a website. So if you're filling out a feedback form or other things like that, it actually is active just because you're on a web page itself. So the extensions are really powerful tools. There's hundreds of them for each of them, and most of them are available on virtually every of the three popular browsers we're talking about. There's more common features. Okay, a mobile version is available, but for Safari, it's only available on Apple devices. Remember, Chrome and Edge are available on both Android and Apple devices. And browsers do sync across devices. They have a synchronization because they will connect you to your account if you set up an account with Google or Microsoft or Apple, and they'll synchronize bookmarks that you save, tabs that you save, and passwords, so that if you want to log in from your Android phone, if you're using Chrome and you're using Chrome on a Windows desktop, Chrome will remember the passwords and it will keep them stored in your browser Google account that you utilize. So those are some things that are advantageous across using browsers across different platforms. So there are some features that are only on some of them. Okay, Chrome does not have what's called a reader view or a text-to-speech built in. These are things that are built in and part of Chrome. Edge, Safari, and Firefox all have these. Okay, there may be an extension available, but as part of Chrome, it doesn't come with a reader view and it doesn't come built in with text-to-speech. It does give you, at least in the US right now, the access to Bard artificial intelligence, and Edge gives you access to Bing artificial intelligence, Bing AI. Safari does not have an AI tool, and Firefox does not. But again, there are extensions, and you can go to websites like Bing directly and Bard directly as well. But so we're going to see some variations and features that it's really hard, since the purpose of a web browser is to get to a web page, and there is an industry standard for the web on what a web page is supposed to be able to do. It's not easy for companies to make their web browsers behave too differently from each other, but they want to because they want you to use their product. Safari has some unique features, a little bit more than some of the other web browsers, because Apple has a very robust set of technologies. They make the hardware, they make the software. So Apple supports something called a reading list on Safari, and it is synchronized between Apple devices. So if you save something to your reading list, it's a different place to save things. It actually downloads the web page to your device, so you have it even if you're offline. There is a tool called Handoff, which is part of Apple's continuity service that they run, so that if you are browsing a web page on your phone, you come and sit down at your desk, your Mac will recognize that you were on a specific web page on your phone, and you can tap an icon and launch that web page and start browsing it on your desktop or laptop. And you can go backwards too, so that if you want to see if you had a web page open on your Mac and you walk away from your desk, and it'll synchronize between iPads, iPhones, and Macs. Apple has a payment tool called Apple Pay where they can store credit cards, and they integrate it with Safari. So I'm seeing more and more websites saying you can pay with Apple Pay. And then, of course, your Apple account is integrated. When you use an Apple product or an Apple technology, you typically set it up with an Apple account. Pretty nice too. Apple tries to make their technologies work together so well so that you stay and use all of their technologies all the time. Now, one of the unique features of Safari is Apple support. It's an Apple product, and so you do have the ability to call Apple and say, I'm using Safari on my iPhone or iPad or Mac, and I don't understand what's going on here. Apple support is available because there's an Apple product. That's one reason why Apple makes it available only on Apple hardware, because they understand that if you're using Safari, you're not using it on any other type of hardware. You have to be using it on a piece of Apple hardware. So they can ask you to check certain functions and features in it to make sure that settings and updates are set up properly as well. And it's easier for them to support it. But their support is world-class, and one of the very big benefits of using Safari is the Apple support capability. Okay, Safari unique features, but Chrome's got some unique features, okay, but Chrome's is owned by Google, and part of Google's business is to make money through advertising. So they want Chrome to be available everywhere. But Google also makes a lot of applications. So Google gives you an account when you set up Gmail, which is probably the most widely used email application service out there. Google gives you an account, and Google also gives you a lot of free apps, things like Google Docs and Google Slides and other Google Notes and other things. People use Chrome a lot because Google apps work better in Chrome. Okay, but that's Google's approach to browsing. Okay, they don't have a lot of unique features on any one device, but they do give you a lot of capabilities if you're using Google applications that give you some features on it as well. So that's Google's approach. Edge has a couple of unique features, and Edge now has introduced a virtual private network that is available when you use the Edge browser. It's free, it's included. And so it doesn't work with any other applications, but it does work inside of Edge. It's a free VPN, so that if you want to browse using a VPN, you don't have to subscribe to a service. They are integrated with Microsoft's accounts, so that if you use 365 or other Microsoft accounts, they also have something called rewards. They give you points that can be redeemed for gift cards if you use Edge for browsing, searching, news, other things like that, to encourage you to use Edge. So they have a rewards program for using Edge as an incentive, because they want people to start using it more and more. They have a couple of other things that are obviously unique. Obviously, Edge has that Bing AI Copilot, which I mentioned, but Google has responded by offering Bard. How do you choose? This is really the challenge that I came up with for myself is if I was talking to somebody and they were a friend of mine, they were having coffee or something, and they said, Bob, which browser should I bother using? Okay, so if I look at somebody that's got a tool that is available for them to use with anything. Okay, say do they have a single vendor set of devices, which is typically all Apple because Microsoft does not make smartphones, but they might have an Android phone or a Google phone and a Chromebook. But typically people have mixed vendors where they might have a Windows desktop or laptop or a Android smartphone or an iPhone or something like that. So if you're all in with Apple, Safari is a great way to go, okay? Because Safari gives you a lot of capabilities that are great resources to be able to use with a lot of things. And you get Apple support and you get some continuity between the different devices and some easy way to save all of your bookmarks and other tools, and it works well between Apple devices. But if you've got an Apple Windows mix, Edge or Chrome are both good. They're going to synchronize across your devices. So you can save your passwords, you can save your favorites or bookmarks, you can save other things that will synchronize, you can share information between devices quickly as well. And with Android and Windows, again, the choices are going to be Edge or Chrome. There's no reason you would use Safari if you're using Android or Windows because Safari doesn't even run on them. So that's not even part of the equation. But synchronization does give you some benefits, but synchronization is not the only reason to look at choosing a web browser, believe it or not, right? Okay, there's other reasons as well. So another way you could look at choosing is, are you a big user of Google applications? Is like Gmail something you keep open all the time? Do you use Google Docs? Do you use Google Slides and Google Numbers or other, of the dozens of Google apps that are out there? They're going to work better in Chrome. There are sometimes some features that are available in Chrome for Google apps that are not available in other browsers. Not very many, but sometimes there are. If you're a Microsoft 365 user, Edge is going to give you some advantages. It's going to be easier for you to launch your 365 apps. It's going to be easier for you to use a web version or the desktop. There's a few features that I showed the other week that are only available through Word on the web. Like a transcription, you can upload an audio file and Word will transcribe the complete audio file. So there's a few things there where Microsoft is making Word for the web and OneDrive for the web more capable with some AI and other tools. So there's an advantage in using Edge there. Now, one of the other challenges in using websites is that sometimes you may call a service for help, like say your bank, and you say, I'm having trouble with getting to my website using something here. And they'll ask you, well, what browser are you using? The most compatible browser with websites is Chrome. There's a reason for that, is that Chrome is built on a foundation underneath it called Chromium, which was made and developed by Google, but they then made it open source. Edge also uses Chromium as well. Apple uses another industry standard. So when a website developer tests a website to make sure it worked with browsers, which they do, they will typically test it with Chrome first. They'll make sure that it works with Chrome because that's the most widely used web browser out there. So some websites will tell you, we recommend you use Chrome for using our website. So even if you got a Mac and you got Safari, you might be scratching your head and say, I guess I got to use Chrome on this website. So Chrome is something that probably ought to be there, for most people, just because it's more compatible with websites. And if you have to call somebody and try something out, I've tried things in California, for example, with the Department of Motor Vehicles, and it will work better when I use Chrome than if I use Safari. Okay, so you'll typically find that the government websites that aren't as rapidly, developed or don't have the real built-in infrastructure support, particularly local government websites, sometimes they're going to work better with Chrome. Most of the major website software tools that are out there for small and medium businesses to use work really well with any web browser, because people like Wix and Weebly and WordPress and others, they make sure they're tested with Chrome and Edge and Safari. Safari is used by about 10% of the world, so it's pretty common out there. It's not uncommon. And Microsoft Edge comes with every Windows computer, but there's just some websites that might work better with Chrome. Just a few, but you might need to have Chrome out there for those types of websites. So that's where you can make some choices. So there's the apps you use, and there's the devices that you have. And so that's going to help you kind of narrow down. Since a web browser is a software application, knowing where to find things in it is going to be easier if you can use it on multiple devices. So using Chrome or Edge or Safari on all the time is going to make it easier for you to learn where things are, learn how to navigate, learn how to take advantages of some of the additional features that are available in it whenever you choose to use it. It's okay to mix and match, though. Okay, it's okay. You have my permission to mix and match, but you are going to lose the synchronization of bookmarks and tabs and passwords. That's the disadvantage of doing that, because some people say, well, I use Safari on my phone, I use this on my desktop. They don't even know that synchronization is possible. It's convenient, but it's not essential. But it does give you some advantages on things you can do. So let's just wrap up real quickly. What's a browser? We learned what browsers do, what they all do, what's common, what's different, and which one to use, which one makes sense. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you soon.